Good morning. Welcome to Orange Coast Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Joel Ibanez, and I'm your worship associate today. I'm joined by Reverend Sian Wiltshire, our minister. Jacob Swetland, our director of music ministries, is out today, but we do have Danielle Lewis, our director of religious education for children and youth as well. We all welcome you this morning, whether you've been here 30 years or 3, 10 months, or 10 minutes. And whether you're strolled, rolled, zoomed, ran, or danced in, we're glad to have you join us today. I want to extend a special welcome to visitors. If you're seeking a spiritual home, we hope that you can find it here. We are a community of many different beliefs and identities. We are bound together not by dogmas or creeds, but rather a covenant to create a welcoming and loving community. We need not think alike to love alike. In the spirit of building this community, let's recognize that the many volunteers who have helped put this service together today, thank you very much. Roomers, we invite you to silence your cell phones, and Zoomers, we invite you to say hello in the chat. As we worship today, let us acknowledge that our church property rests on the sacred ancestral homelands of the Hachiman and Tongva peoples who seek justice and responsible stewardship. We begin our worship with the lighting of our chalice. And this morning, I'd like to invite Mfanwe Kaiser up here to light the chalice. Mfanwe? Yes. There we go. Mfanwe has been with us for a good long time. She was with us, she's been a member of our congregation since back on Victoria, actually. She loves going to the rescue mission to teach writing to students, and is a member of the Elks Club in Huntington Beach, where she writes on the monthly newsletter and loves writing poetry. So with that, let our worship begin with the lighting of our chalice as we say our unison affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. To help the other trees, to seek truth in love, and to help one another. This we affirm together.
Please rise in body or spirit and sing our opening hymn.
Surrender to this life. Give up the fight for some other moment, some other life than here and now. Give up the longing for some other world, the wishing for other choices to make, other songs to sing, other bodies, other ages, other countries, other stakes. Purge the past and forgive the future, for each will come too soon. Surrender only to this life, this day, this hour, not because it does not constantly break your heart, but because it also beckons with beauty, startles with delight if only we keep waking up. This is the gift we have been given, these body clothes, this heartbreak, this pulse, this breath, this light, these friends, this community. Let us worship together. I'd like to invite Danielle Lewis up here now, our Director of Religious Education, and she's going to tell a story for all ages.
Good morning. All right, let me find the start of my page here. All right, today we have a book called Brave as Can Be, a book of courage. When I was little, I was afraid of everything. Little creaks and squeaks and booming thunderclaps. Teeny crawling crawlies and okay, I can't say that word. You guys can figure that one out. Pointy fangs. I had a pile of fears as big as a mountain. When I was scared, I would shiver as if I was outside in the snow. I would shut my eyes tight and clap my hands over my ears. I was closed up against the cold as if I was an igloo. I used to be scared of the dark, where there's a monster lurking in the shadows. But now I have a bright nightlight and my super-powered pajamas, which are 100% danger-proof. The neighbor's dog can be scary too, with its loud barks and thousands of teeth. But my mom says a dog is just saying hello, holding her tiny hand tightly. I said hello backly. Right back. Goodness, I can't speak today. Once I let go of Mom's hand, and poof, she disappeared. But I didn't panic. Sometimes Mom gets lost. Like a brave explorer, I spotted her through the crowd. I'm in a galaxy far, far away and heading straight towards a fuzzy yarn monster. Quick, wake up! It was just a nightmare. My dreams scare me too sometimes. Trick or treat. On Halloween, it's my turn to be scary. With a crackling laugh and a pointy hat, I scare my friends and my friends scare me. Sometimes it's fun to be scared. I love when Dad tells me my favorite spooky stories over and over again. Once upon a time. When thunder booms and lightning flashes, I used to clench my teeth and my blinky. Now I tell my little sister it's just a storm. Let's sing a song to give ourselves the courage. My teacher can be very strict. When she is angry, her big black eyes make her look like an owl. But that's my own special secret. Imagining her feathers make me feel brave. Beetles and butterflies, lizards and ladybugs, they slither and crawl and creep. But to them, I am a giant. If I am scared of them, think how scared they are of me. I'm older now, and my mountain of fears doesn't look so huge. In fact, now that I'm big, it looks very small indeed. All right, and we will go ahead and light our children's chalice and sing our kids out.
We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go. To nurture the spark of your precious life. We hold you in our love as you go.
So who here knows who Linda Clough is? most people know Linda. You all can wave at her. She's on Zoom and she can see you over there. Say hi, hi, Linda. I'm saying hi up here because the video was up there. So I was speaking with Linda I guess it was actually a couple months ago now. And if you didn't know, by the way, Linda's very out about this. She's a recovering alcoholic. And I have her permission to tell this story. She's been sober now for umpteen years. But she told me of the story of when she was first in recovery. She was staying at a detox center at a hospital, and one of the counselors there told her, "You have got to go hear this guy, Chuck Chamberlain, speak. He's absolutely amazing, and he's speaking nearby, and if you hear him speak, you will never want to drink again." Like, wow, that was a big call. So she was all excited and full of anticipation of this kind of maybe miraculous or magical kind of healing. And she went to the talk, and when she got there, it was in a big auditorium, and it was absolutely packed. It was a huge crowd. Turns out he's quite popular. She found a seat in the back, but unfortunately, the PA system was out. And she couldn't hear a thing, right? And she was so frustrated. She'd been so looking forward to hearing this guy talk, and what magical words was he going to say to help her, right? And the only thing she heard was at one point, as he was speaking to all these recovering alcoholics there, he yelled out, "Surrender!" And that was the only word she heard the entire talk. And feeling sort of miffed and a little heartbroken that she didn't hear more, she went back and reported to her counselor how frustrated she had been, and that was the only word that she heard. And he said, "That was all you needed to hear." So what did he mean? What is this magic of surrender? What does it mean to surrender in that spiritual sense, right? Because I'm not talking about giving up the white flag, right? It's not about, it's really more about giving into a reality that we need to face. But it's more than just giving into reality, it's an opening up to allow something larger than ourselves to come in. Richard Rohr, that wonderful spiritual theologian, he says, "Surrender is about a peaceful inner opening that keeps the conduit of living water flowing." I want to say that again. Surrender is about a peaceful inner opening that keeps the conduit of living water flowing. That living water that heals us, supports us, loves us. For me, I call that living water love. So surrendering to me is about letting in love. Surrender takes courage, an adult kind of courage, and humility. It takes recognizing our own humanity, like the fullness of our humanity, right? The good parts and the maybe not so good parts, right? That darkness that we want to ignore or deny. And a lot of spiritual traditions have wonderful things to say about surrender, though they might use different words, but they're talking about that same thing because everybody knows how powerful it is. And even AA, they have these 4 paradoxes, and one of them is surrender to win. I love that. Surrender to win. Buddhists speak of letting go of attachments, of that which you're holding onto so tightly, that part of your ego, right? Christians have Easter, the letting go of something that needs to maybe die so that new life can be born. Muslims pray 5 times a day in order to remember to submit. Actually, Islam means submission or surrender. And that's why they do it, is to remember to surrender. And of course, Jews celebrate Yom Kippur, which is a time of letting go of resentment and hate and letting in forgiveness and gratitude. Surrender is a deep and transformative spiritual practice that kind of happens to us. It's a little bit harder to make it happen, but it's recognized in all traditions, and I think we need to know about it as Unitarian Universalists. And I also want to take a moment to just be a little bit cautious about when we talk about surrender. Surrender can have some really bad connotations, right? Because as I said, it's not about giving up on life or on a relationship. It's not about allowing someone or something to subjugate you, right? That's the difference. And there are times in which we need to fight, right? The type of surrender I'm talking about is about moving forward when you feel kind of blocked, just not in the way maybe that you thought. You're moving forward in a different way. When you realize that maybe that block is actually you, your behaviors, your thinking, maybe even your beliefs, and realizing that maybe there's another way. So I want to give you some examples. I'm going to tell a lot of stories today. Linda's was the first. A lot of it's from my own life because it's kind of hard to talk about these things. It's a feeling that happens to us, right? We just know how it feels. So I'll give you this example. And for me, this one was about recognizing that I was not in control. So back in my 20s, I was living out near Philadelphia. And of course, my family, as most of you know, live near Seattle. So I would fly back every Christmas to Seattle to be with my family. I usually stay with my twin sister. And one year, I flew into this totally surprising blizzard that hit Seattle. Okay, like Seattle doesn't do snow. Okay, they do rain just fine, but snow they don't do. And it was just an absolutely massive blizzard. And my plane was diverted to Portland at one point. We were supposed to get in around 7 or 8, and it turned out I didn't get in until about 12:30 at night, right? It's after midnight. And as we landed, of course, I'm anxious, like, how am I gonna get to my sister's? I had called my sister when we were in Portland, and she had said, it took me 2 hours to go 2 blocks. I had to turn around. I can't get to the airport for you. So I'm like, okay, I'm in full problem solving mode, right? I am the great problem solver. I'm gonna do this. So I'm thinking, okay, I gotta find a taxi or a bus. I'm sure there must be something running, right? And it's midnight, it's after midnight. So I'm sure there's not many people here at the airport. So I'm gonna book it off the plane, right? And I'm gonna get ahead of everybody and be the first in line for the taxis that must be running or something like that, right? So I'm like, hauling my suitcase behind me, and I'm walking as fast as I possibly can, speed walking down the airport. And as I come down the escalator, if you know Seattle, I come down the escalator to where the ground transportation area is, and I'm coming down the escalator, and suddenly I see a sea of people, right? Like all my assumptions were wrong. Everybody is stuck. I mean, there must have been 2,000 people there. I mean, it was amazing. And it sort of like my brain just sort of went, screech, stop, wait a minute. And I just remember this feeling came over me. It was like, well, okay then. Like, there's nothing I can do. I cannot control this situation. And the funny thing is that it was at that moment that the magic happened. Because not only did I just sort of surrender to that moment of like, this is, nothing I can do, so I might as well just go with the flow. I'll make it to my sister's eventually. Maybe it'll be, a couple of days, who knows, right? So I went down to where there were a few brave taxis running. I didn't realize how bad it was. Like, it was bad. And so there was a place where you could sign up your name. And I walked up, signed up my name. They ask you where you're going because they're trying to fit as many people into the taxi as possible. And I said, I'm going to Capitol Hill, which is a neighborhood of Seattle. And the guy behind me, I remember seeing him on the plane, and he overheard me. And as I stood off to the side, just kind of looking around going, well, I don't know, guess I'm just gonna be here, wait for my turn. And he came up to me and he said, my name's Dan, and I'm from Michigan. I know how to drive in the snow. Do you want to rent a car with me? I was like, okay, sure, why not? So he goes off to rent a car. He got like every insurance you could possibly imagine on the car, right? And as we're leaving, he yells out to this large crowd, we're going to Capitol Hill. We got 2 seats available. Anybody want to come? And sure enough, this older gentleman who was a lawyer, he joined us, and then this grandmother, there's a very large woman with all these like 3 bags of suitcases because she brought all her presents for her kids and grandkids in it, and she was so great. And so the 4 of us go off into this car, and her luggage like weighed down the car, so it gave us really great traction, you know? And we had the best time. We were laughing and joking. We're driving up the middle of I-5 north on Seattle, which is like a 6-lane highway. There's buses jackknifed off and cars and everything. We're just in the middle of it having the grandest time ever. We had to take runs at Capitol Hill. We'd slide back, and then we'd go. It was like cheering by the time we got to the top, you know. Here are these 4 strangers coming together, and I just kept thinking, like, wow, this is what can happen when you surrender to the moment, right? It felt really magical to me, and I got there about 2:30 in the morning, and my sister was like, "You're laughing." Yeah, I had a great time. So I want to ask you all, I want to invite you all to think about a time when you surrendered control, right? So I want to invite you into that time of meditation. If you want to soften your eyes, take some deep breaths, and close your eyes, get your feet comfortable. What about you? Can you remember a time when you had to surrender to the moment, to give up control and realize there's nothing you can do? And what did that feel like? Was it relief? Was it scary? Where did you feel it in your body? When you're ready, I'm going to invite you to join Jolynn in singing our song, Voice Still and Small.
Was still and small, deep inside all, I hear your call, sing. In storm and rain, sorrow and pain, still remain, sing. Calling my fears, quenching my tears, through all the years, sing.
So this here is one of my favorite quotes from the Bible. I don't have a lot of favorite quotes from the Bible, but this is one of them. It's actually only part of Micah 6:8, which is to do justice, love mercy, walk humbly with your God. Mercy is always kind of an interesting one. It actually is probably better translated kindness. Now, there's a lot of commentary on this particular line. People for centuries have been commenting on it. But there's 2 things that really resonated with me that I like about this particular quote. First of all, it says, your God. Walk humbly with your God. Not my God, not the God, but your God. So what is it? What is your God? What is it that connects you to something larger than yourself? Some people might call it God. Others might call it justice or love, community, family, hope. Is it the Christian God, the goddess, Buddha, compassion, spirit, nature, Mother Earth, Odin, Vishnu, Allah, all of the above? What do you call that which is something greater than yourself? And the second line I really like is the line, walk humbly. How many of us walk humbly, let alone with our God? To me, humbly is to recognize that it isn't you who's in control, but it's your God that's in control. So not only does the spiritual practice of surrender tell us to let go of control, but we need to walk humbly with that. And humility is not about beating yourself up or being self-deprecating. Oh, I know I'm not very good at that, right? It's recognizing that you're not God, right? You may be divine, but you're not God. You do not control everything. You are not perfect. You're just perfect enough. You don't have to be the smartest, the most capable, the best looking, the wisest, the one who solves all the problems. Right? So now me, I've always prided myself on solving problems and be able to handle everything. And if you ever use that phrase, I've always prided myself, right? Now it's not a bad thing to be proud of something about yourself, but there's a story you're telling yourself there that it might be a block. It might be something that you need to let go of or understand that maybe not always, right? I always thought, like I can handle anything. I'm not a stressed person. No problem is too big. No stress really gets to me. It's all good, right? But like many of you, I was humbled by the pandemic. I was stressed in ways I never imagined. I was worried about you. I was worried about the church in general, my family, my friends, the world. One of my biggest things that I was scared. I was scared for all of you. I can even feel it coming up now. Like, my biggest fear is that you would be in a hospital and I couldn't be there with you. I felt very isolated like everyone and alone, unable to see anyone, and I was trying to hold it all together while around me everyone, of course, was stressing too, and I was so grateful. This church pulled together like I have never seen before. It was amazing. Everyone jumping in, creating the community, making sure we were online, and we continue being online. Everything was absolutely just amazing, and yet it was still too much. And there were a number of times that I broke down, and you probably weren't aware, because I feel like it's my job to take care of you, not necessarily to take care of me. See, there's ego, right? I didn't want you to stress. But I remember I took some time off. I was supposed to have 3 months of a sabbatical, but I ended up only taking 2. And I remember coming back and going, okay, I feel a little bit better, but I still feel this anxiety going on. And I knew something was wrong. And I kept thinking, I can handle this. This too shall pass. Things are getting better. We're getting used to things. I've always been able to handle these situations. But after breaking down one night for no particular reason that I could even fathom, I surrendered. I realized I wasn't handling it, and I needed help. So I let go of my attachment to my story that says I can handle everything. Everything, really, Sean? Everything, huh? And I faced the fact that I couldn't. So I called my doctor, and she put me on a prescription of anti-anxiety and depression. And again, the magic happened. It saved me and my ministry. It was the best thing I've ever done. I can't even tell you, like, even within a few days, I felt normal. I was like, oh, I'm back to myself again. And I don't want you to think for a second that it had anything to do with the church, what did or didn't do. Everyone, as I said, was absolutely amazing. And I know that many of you know what I'm talking about because many of you called me, I can't handle this. This is so hard. I remember that. So I know you know what it is. It just wasn't any one thing. It was everything, right? Our egos or stories about ourselves can get in the way of what we truly need. So again, I want to invite you into that time of meditation. Take a deep breath. And if you have a story in the past of something that blocked you, a story you were telling yourself that wasn't serving you anymore, or maybe there's one right now, a vision you have of yourself that maybe needs to be modified a bit. I invite you to think of that story or that block. And what would happen if you changed that story? I invite you once again to join Jolynn in singing our song.
Still and slow, deep inside, oh, I hear your call, singing. In storm and rain, sorrow and pain, still we remain singing. Calling my fears, quenching my tears, through all the years, singing.
You know, surrendering, listening to that still small voice that just says, yeah, maybe you need to surrender here. Surrendering or walking humbly, it requires us to be brave. It's not necessarily the kind of bravery of a child, like facing a monster under the bed, but it's the courage of an adult to face those parts of ourselves, those ego parts that we don't want to face. It involves giving up an image of yourself that maybe we don't want to change or we think is infallible. I'm so good at my job, but I'm so good at problem solving, but I'm so good at handling stress. It's the courage to go with the flow, right? Rather than fighting the current. Trusting that your God will hold you. That it is calling your spirit to do something that maybe you never had thought of before. And in fact, my journey to ministry, I think, began with a surrender. I had been working in business in Boston, climbing the corporate ladder. I went to Australia. Some of you know some of this story. And I was respected in my job. I was incredibly good at it. I was knowledgeable. People came to me. I was making good money. And I was miserable. And I'm looking back now, I'm like, why was I miserable? I had the American dream. I had everything that I needed. But I just knew I wasn't doing something. I wasn't sure what it was. I felt very stuck because I thought, well, other than this job, what would I ever do? Right? Somehow I didn't think I had any other skills. And I remember talking to my friend Zach and told him, I feel like I'm wading in a river trying to move up against the current. Have you ever tried to do that and how hard it is? I said, I don't know what to do. And he said, well, what would happen if you didn't fight it anymore and you just went floating with the river, went down with the current? And somehow that question to me, that image changed everything for me, right? Like that magic moment when suddenly it was like, oh, what would that look like? I would move back to Seattle. I would explore spirituality. Suddenly all these ideas came to me, right? I had begun to realize that I had been thinking that I had to continue in business. That's what you're supposed to do, right? And I was good at it. When I let go of my ego that had to be this high-powered businesswoman who, opened offices in Australia and all that sort of, then the magic happened. And I began exploring, as I said, different forms of spirituality. It led me to shamanism. And that in turn led me to different faiths, and I finally stumbled upon Unitarian Universalism. And I knew I was home. It took a long time floating down that river to find the dry land, but when I did, I was walking humbly with my God. I had listened to that still small voice within. Surrendering is a spiritual practice, and it's one that's hard to practice. As I said, it often just happens to us. And it almost seems like it's magical when it does. Surrendering requires courage, letting go of control, letting go of your ego, walking humbly. And it's something that just doesn't happen once to us. It's an ongoing journey of learning to go with that flow, that living water, as Rohr calls it. And that is the call of spirit or of love, or whatever you want to call your God. Micah 6:8 gets quoted a lot, but I always liked, whenever I'm looking at a biblical thing, I'm like, I got to see what is the context of this, right? And it's kind of great because Micah is basically saying, your God doesn't want you to sacrifice your firstborn. Your God doesn't want you to give up all your worldly goods or give fancy sacrifices and barrels of oil, he says. God just wants you to do what's right, to love kindness and be humble. That's all. How do we do that? I think it's by listening to that still small voice within that reminds us to connect with love, to that part of ourselves that is connecting to something larger. May it be so, blessed be, and amen. And let us sing that you gotta do when the Spirit says do.
Please rise in body or spirit and sing along with us. You got to do what the Spirit says do. You got to do what the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you got to do, oh Lord. You got to do what the Spirit says do. The Spirit says do. The Spirit says do. 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 You got to sing what the Spirit says sing. You got to sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you got to sing. You got to sing when the Spirit says. Am I wrong? Spirit says. Are we still on do? Spirit says do. Spirit says do. Spirit says do. Spirit says do. Spirit sing. Sing. And then it's love. You got to sing when the Spirit says love. You got to love when the Spirit says love. When the Spirit says love, you got to love, oh Lord. You got to love when the Spirit says love, oh. Spirit says love. 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 Spirit says love.
Unitarian Universalist congregations are fully self-supporting, meaning that members and friends raise all funds for the operating budget, ministries, and programs of the church. We are ever grateful for your gifts of time, treasure, and talent. OCUUC amplifies that spirit of generosity by sharing half of the plate we receive with an organization that shares our values. This month, we're sharing with Rhea Elementary School here in Costa Mesa. Ray Elementary has a wonderful program that we're able to contribute to with regard building innovation and robotics program. So they're preparing students for college readiness and success in a global society. Now, there are multiple ways in which you can support the church and Rhea Elementary. You can mail a check, you can go through our website, or you can use an app called Vanco Mobile. If you're a roomer, you can also simply use the basket as it's passed around. The choice is yours. All the information is on our website should you need it. As always, thank you for your generosity.
Hey everyone. I wrote this song yesterday. It's a work in progress. I'm gonna demo it for you guys, and we'll see how it goes, and then I'll just improvise at the end. Yeah. It's like a sad love song, but it's about surrendering a little bit. Summer, that's when everything started. It's also when we parted. All I'm left with is darkness. I asked for your love, just wanted your love. You could have said no. You could have been honest, but you left me with silence. Months went by and those words weren't said. I know what I did. Oh, I know. I just asked for your love, just wanted your love. You could have said no, you could have been honest, but you left me in silence. Something like that, yeah.
And now, let us sing We Gather Together, a song that expresses our gratitude for the gifts that we share.
Gather together, we gather as one. Peace, love, and justice for everyone. Giving up our hearts to show that we care. We can change lives with one.
And of course, now is that time when we honor the important events and people in our lives. It's a weekly ritual we call Joys and Sorrows, and you are welcome, one and all, members, friends, visitors, to participate in this ritual. This is Leanna Sands, who is our faith community nurse, and she's going to help you with lighting your candles. And the idea is that if you come here today with something that you've been holding in your heart, a profound joy or sorrow, and you would like to embody it or honor it, you're welcome to come forward and do so by lighting a candle. And of course, if you want to share it with the community, there's a slip of paper that the ushers have. If you didn't get one when you already came in, that you can write it out, and then as you come forward to light your candle, just hand it to me, and then I will read those out loud. And of course, Zoomers, you can write it in the chat, and I'll read those out loud, and Leanna will then light a candle for you. So please come forward. I'm noticing we have a lot of joys this morning. Like, well, but I do want to mention, I'm glad when everything is going well, yay. I do want to mention one little sad thing that I would like you to light a candle for Jacob, our director of music ministries. He is in urgent care because he had his teeth pulled I think it was Thursday, and he had a bad reaction to the antibiotics. So, so please hold him in your heart. I'm going to read the ones online here first. So Linda Club, says, please light a candle of gratitude and joy for my 44 years of sobriety. I knew it was a lot, but wow, that's cool. All right, and then Sarah H., she has a joy. She says, wonderful service and just at the right time for me. I'm going to surrender and let people help me. So yes, if you weren't aware, if you remember from last week or a couple weeks ago when she told us that she broke her back. So good, Sarah, I'm glad you're going to let people help you. And then Sarah J., our administrator, She says, joy, 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 because her baby Dominic Anthony D'Agostino was born Monday night. And that's her new grandson. And she says, Mommy Hannah, that's her daughter, and baby are perfect and happy, healthy, and whole. She says, and my whole heart. Oh, yeah. Isn't that awesome? All right. So let's see here. Donna M. lit a candle of joy. These are for people here. She said, tomorrow is my last physical therapy appointment, and my knee is so much better. Yay. That's a happy thing. Oh, this is kind of cool. So Amelia and Aaron, they lit a candle of joy because they said, our young nephew, Marko Vavic, won a bronze medal in the Olympics this morning. Right? It's the USA water polo team. Congratulations. That is cool. And Julia C., she wrote a joy. She said, I've noticed that when I surrender, things mostly turn out better. Thank you. She's awesome. Let's see, and Lauren and Jared, they lit a candle of joy because they said, our son Robert, who is starting transitional kindergarten tomorrow. Ooh, big change. All right, and Elizabeth and Jacques K., they lit a candle of joy. I just want to explain this one a little bit. So Linda had a special party. She calls it her no mud, no lotus party. Huh? Elizabeth, what did I say? Linda, what? That's weird. Okay, Elizabeth and Jacques. So Elizabeth had this no mud, no lotus party, which is really to honor and celebrate this really rough couple of years she's been through. And she had these beautiful photographs taken of her and her wonderful tattoos, and she did an unveiling of these beautiful photographs. And I just thought it was so wonderful. So she says, Joy, wow, what an amazing acknowledgement of the power of support and self-love from last night's event. I am extremely grateful for all my friends and family that gathered together in person and in spirit. I am fully energized and ready to greet a new batch of third graders tomorrow. She said, this is going to be a great year, right? Right? And I really want to point out, one of the things I just loved about this is like we don't honor sometimes the getting through those dark nights of the soul. And that she did this as a way, it took a lot of courage and to celebrate that. And I just want to invite you, if you've ever done that, celebrate getting through that. I love this no mud, no lotus saying is from Thich Nhat Hanh. And the idea is you can't have the beautiful lotus flower without going through the mud, right? All right, let's see here. Let's see if there's anything else on here. So we'll let us hold in love all the joys and celebrations, all the hurts and sadness as well, whether they were spoken or remain silent in our hearts. Let our joys remind us to be thankful, our concerns remind us to hope, and our sorrows remind us to connect with one another. Because all these moments remind us that we're not alone. I'd like to invite you to join Leanna here in a spirit of prayer.
Thank you for being with us today. I appreciate you all, and I've been a little MIA over the summer, so I'm really happy to be back. This is called the New Serenity Prayer by Father James Martin and Terry Roche, or Roche. Might sound a little familiar, and maybe a little bit not. God, grant me the serenity to accept the people I cannot change, which is pretty much everyone, since I'm clearly not you, God. At least the last time I checked. And while you're at it, God, please give me the courage to change what I need to change about myself, which is frankly a lot, since again, I'm not you, which means I'm not perfect. It's better for me to focus on changing myself than worry about changing other people who, as you'll no doubt remember me saying, I can't change anyway. Finally, give me the wisdom to just shut up whenever I think I am clearly smarter than everyone else in the room, and that no one knows what they're talking about except for me, or that I alone have all the answers. Basically, God, grant me the wisdom to remember that I am not you. Amen.
That's my new favorite prayer.
Okay, let us join together as we extinguish the flame of our chalice and say together, we extinguish our chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. There we go. Thank you for joining us this morning. If you're a guest, a visitor, or someone who hasn't yet been known to us, I invite you to become a part of this beloved community. If you'd like to know more about our church, we invite you to either stop by the welcome table outside in the courtyard or contact us at hello@ocuuc.org, and we will help you get connected. You can also reach us by subscribing to our weekly email at blast@ocuuc.org. Zoomers are welcome to stay after the service and chat with one another online, and we do want everyone to feel a part of this beloved community, so please reach out and we'll help you get connected.
All right, announcements. I actually forgot to light 2 candles that I would like to, Leanna, can you do that for me? There we go. Thank you, Joel. One is I want to say a big thank you to both Ginny and Jolynn, who stepped in when I got the call this morning that Jacob was not going to be able to make it. So they stepped in last minute to help out, which I really appreciate. Jolynn was supposed to be on slides, and then Ginny, so yeah, it was a whole thing. And then the other thing is that there's a very special person here today. His name is Ron Robinson, and he comes from the church in South Bend, where I served for 2 years as interim minister there. And it was the most delightful surprise to see him this morning. So please say hello to Ron. He's here for both sad and lovely reasons, but he came in today, so that was just the most wonderful surprise. So thank you. Thank you, Leanne. See, if I don't write it down, it just goes out of my head. All right, so a couple of things for announcements I want to say. We got big things coming up. So this Saturday is Music Under the Stars. This is the first one under Jacob's direction, so come on out. It was an auction item, but nobody cares. Just come on out. It's fine. So come on out. It's fun. They actually have it here tonight. We're out here in the courtyard. It's underneath the stars, and they put lights on the pergola. And this is going to be the last one for a while because we have a groundbreaking coming up on September 1st. Yes. So those of you who may be new here today, we're building a new sanctuary. The building next door is coming down. And on September 1st, we're having groundbreaking. And on 3rd, fencing will go up. So there's not going to be a lot of room. So we'll be getting a lot more information about that. Read your reach, read the blast. We're going to have a whole website and a video camera up and all sorts of cool things. And then there's also going to be a table out. You'll see it out there with the hard hat and the little shovel. That if you have any questions about it, or if you'd like to, pledge for the Capital Cayman building it, that's cool too. And then also the other thing we've got coming up is the all-church camp. I love that they call it an all-church because it's not every church. It's 3 churches. But 3 churches in Orange County get together and we go up to Camp de Benneville, which is totally awesome. It's a beautiful camp. It's a lot of fun, and now is the time to start registering for it. It's the first week, I believe it's the first weekend in October. And actually our very own Wendy, our intern who will be coming back in a couple weeks, she's gonna be, I believe, leading worship up there. So it'll be a fun family camp, and families are welcome. Yeah, even if you don't have kids, if you're like, a childless dog lady like me, you can go there too. All right. My final word to you this morning as you leave here today is this. Surrender! Let us sing our final song. this service is over, let our service continue.